Australian time. However, this is arguably the Potty's flagship show, the All Australian selections. This would be our fourth one now, including the mid years, and they always go down a treat. I'm actually going to do mine last this time. I always do them first because mine's usually a bit of a gag, but I thought I would change it up this time because I was thinking about it when I make the clips of the show. Don't really want some rando AFL fan just clicking on and seeing me pick Will Snelling in the forward pocket. Would like to, expose them to some people with actual good opinions. So we'll start with Pilch. Who is in your All-Australian team, mate?
Great question, mate. And it is as follows. If we start with the full back line, I've got Tom Stewart in one of the back pockets. Fairly consensus pick there. Stephen May, full back. And then for the other back pocket, this one was an absolute toss-up between two interceptors, Aaliyah and Lever. Honestly, cannot split them, but I've gone for Aaliyah. Just think he's a little bit more of a presence on the field, more of an athletic beast, and clearly one of the best interceptors and lockdown defenders in the game this season. Half-back line, Rich and Dale on the outsides, give a bit of running carry, and then Wiedering at centre half-back. I do think Harris Andrews was quite stiff not to get a nomination, but fair play. Centre line, I'm just going to say I'm normally a huge advocate for putting wingers on the outside, not putting in past years Dustin Martin in the forward pocket, but there's just way too many good midfielders in this year's crop, so I've had to bend my own rules a little bit. So I've gone for Steele, Bontempelli and McRae across the middle. Two of them will have to cop the wing, but they're just too good not to get a spot on the field. Jack Steele's had an unbelievable season, and for him to miss out 2 years in a row would be disgraceful. In the ruck, Gawn. I think his last game got him over the line, and the fact that they came first, I think they'll give it to him. Him, Darcy and Nat Nui are pretty much all as good as each other, but the latter position should get him across the line. And then I have got... hang on, I've made a mistake here. One sec. I've got Wines and Oliver as the next two midfielders. I actually don't really rate the Wines pick, but considering he's favourite for the Brownlow, I should put him in. And I think he will get picked there just because of all the outside noise. Can't see him missing out. Forward line, half forward, Petrarca. Got one midfielder in there. I think he also deserves a spot, being unreal. We've got Mackay, probably the worst Coleman medalist since 1743 when they were playing with a round ball or whatever it was. Jake Stringer. Jake Stringer on the other half-forward flank. Full forward, we've got one player here that didn't make the squad, and that's Charlie Dixon. Probably the most biased pick of all time, but I just think he's an absolute presence. Has 4 men on him at all times and still leads the league every year in contested marks. 47 goals, gets 5 hit-outs to advantage a game inside forward 50, sets up goals. Just versatile key forward. And then Hawkins, in my opinion, the best key forward this season. And then Toby Green in the other forward pocket. And then to round out the interchange, I've just got 4 midfielders. So I've gone with Parrish. Actually, I have put McCluggage in there just to get one outside sort of player. So I've got Parrish, McCluggage, Took Miller, and Callum Mills.
Ooh, Millsy. That's a good one. Rowie, interested to hear whether you have a very similar team to Pilch or not.
Alrighty, so I don't really have any stats and numbers or anything like that. I'm just going to say how I like him. So I'll also read it out the way that's on the AFL. You know how it goes, ruck, and then the 2 followers down at the very end. I'll do it that way. So I've got the back pocket, Tommy Stewart, pretty standard selection that I think you'll get another jacket on him there. Stephen May at fullback, and then Lever back pocket. I'm also tossing up between Lever and Aaliyah, but that combination of May and Lever this year has just been impenetrable for the D's. They've conceded very few goals. And yeah, obviously they've finished on top, got the minor premiership, and can't leave them out. In the half-back line, I've got 2 out of my 3 guys guys that weren't selected in the squad. They're the only 2 guys that weren't selected in the squad I've got in here. So one half-back who is in the squad, Daniel Rich. I just don't understand that man's boot, how he can kick like 20 metres further than everyone else in the comp, except for the cannon. It's unbelievable. Centre half-back, I've actually got Harris Andrews. Still don't know how he was snubbed. Like, man's just an absolute beast. He plays lockdown and intercepts, but is just so consistent as well at it, and he's just an absolute freak. And then on the other halfback flank, I've got, I don't know how this guy missed out as well, Aaron Hall. I absolutely love the man. Everyone says, racks up the stats and all that, blah, blah, like he's a stat, whatever. But look, that's probably the case with most halfbacks. I think Hall is one of the best, if not the best, kicks in the comp. If you want to go watch him play, I don't know how he does it, but just all of his kicks are perfectly weighted, beautiful. He lays out some beautiful darts. And the one thing I like about him, and not that he does compared to most other halfbacks, is that just about all of his running is forward. Most of his kicks aren't, to the like chipping around the back to the side. Like, he gets his stats as he's running forward and attacking. So hence why his disposal efficiency might be a bit low, but I still think he's probably one of the best kicks in the comp, and he's got awesome pace that he uses as well. So, look, in my opinion, he's one of the best, if not the best, halfbacks in the game at the moment. His ball use is just exquisite. If he was playing for a top 8 team, he'd be a lot more well recognised. Going to the centre now, I've also sort of bent the rules here, but, got to do what you got to do. So I've got Sammy Walsh on one wing, Jack McRae on the other wing, and Jack Steele in the centre. I'm not copying this man missing out on the field for the second year in a row. He's going on. If there's another Saints robbery this week, I'm going to absolutely lose it. But anyway, so those 3 are going to be in there. Absolutely awesome selections. Half forward line, Petrarca. Would have loved to be putting McCartan next to him so I could feel a bit better about myself, but unfortunately, that's a thing of the past from the 2014 draft. Tommy Hawkins at centre half forward, obviously does a lot more than just kick goals for the Cats. He's a huge player for them. Dane Zorko as well, I've got in the other half forward flank. Just trying to get as many sort of genuine forward options in here as possible without playing too much mid-time. But yeah, he's been awesome for them, Zorko. The most painful player to not have in Supercoach this year. Forward pockets, Toby Green, one of my favourite players, absolute beast. Could literally change a game. Just him could just change a game. And hopefully that'll be the case this weekend, because it'll be awesome to see how far the Giants can go. Jakey Stringer, other forward pocket. The package is delivered this year, and hopefully he can get them over the line this weekend. Would be awesome to see a Bombers upset. And Harry Mackay at full forward. Yeah, probably agree. He's probably the worst Coleman that we've seen in a while, but look, he's a Coleman nonetheless. He's going to have an awesome career. Maxi Gawn in the ruck. Can't go past this man. Like, this year was a lot tougher. Nat Nui and Darcy were definitely worth thought, but for me, it was just Gawn that pipped them. I think his work around the ground's unbelievable. And then Bontempelli and Wines are going to be accompanying Jack Steele in that centre around Gawn. So that's a pretty formidable starting 3 in there. On the bench, Clayton Oliver, absolute beast. I can't remember if you had him or not, Pilch. I don't know if you snubbed it or not, but...
I did have him. I had him.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't remember you saying that. Rory Laird as well, second spot on the bench. Absolute animal. Tyler calls him Superman. Definitely the right name for Mr. Crom. Took Miller as well, third on the bench. And I was tossing up in this last one, but I went with Darcy Parish. That bench is sort of chockers full of midfielders, but, like we said, there's just way too many midfielders picked this year. I mean, Jacob Hopper, come on. But, that's going to be the team I've got with, obviously a lot of players that were stiff. Guthrie, Dixon, Nick Nat, Lyons, Aaliyah, obviously, Salem and Dale, Jacob Wedding, and also Buddy. But, I don't know. I think Hawkins and Mackay just did enough. But that's the team I'm going to roll with.
Yeah, in my opinion...
And Cooper Sharman, stiff as well.
In my opinion, Mackay was about the 6th best key forward this season, but seeing as he won the Coleman, you have to put him in.
you just can't leave out Coleman from the All Australians. It's just
stiff.
Anyway.
Stiff because I have, but you are right.
Yeah.
I don't reckon the Coleman's
I'd
been
back it,
left
mate.
out.
I'd back it.
Thanks, boys. Thanks. All right, yeah, same order as Pilch. So my fullback line, I actually haven't heard anyone talk about this bloke all year, but he's somehow in my top 10 in the voting, and it's actually Shannon Hearn. Every single week for the West Coast, he pretty much has the most effective kicks, the most rebound 50s, all those sort of stats that a halfback flanker should dominate in. He is one of the most consistent at it, also great at intercepting. I know his calves and hammies are native, not the strong stuff at the moment, but he has gotten in there.
What about his hairline, mate?
Well, it's like the Big M, mate. Even though they're sponsored by Hungry Jacks, it is not looking good there, bro. He just needs to shave it off, to be honest. With the greatest respect to Shannon, shout out if he's watching, shout out to his family, but shocking head. But doesn't mean he can't make the All-Australian side. Fullback, I've got Tommy Stewart. Can't remember what game it was, but might have been the one where Gary Rowan kicked the sealer after the siren. But there was a game around that time of year, and he was full like prime rancing it. And yeah, I just love Tommy Stewart. Love his story. Love how he just sort of came from Barwon Heads footy and came through the VFL system and all that good stuff. And then my other back pocket, I've got Jordan Ridley. Then in the half back line.
Yeah, he was stiff.
Yeah, I heard he missed out on the team. I actually have no idea who's in the squad. So, but I did see Peanut message that one in. Halfback flank, I've got Daniel Rich. I actually think this year he's finally getting the plaudits he deserves. I think he's had a very underrated past 5 or 6 years. As Rowie said, he can just kick the shit out of the ball, which is a underrated skill in footy. Someone who can kick it 60 as opposed to 40 is pretty large competitive advantage. Centre half back, I actually couldn't split these two. May and Lever, exact same amount of votes for me, polled in the exact same amount of games, but I just went Stephen May, not sure why. His name was on top in the order, so I went with him. So Excel has decided Lever's fate, sadly. Then I've got Luke Ryan on the other one. Those who watched the podcast last year would know that my algorithm absolutely froths Luke Ryan, so he is in there as a third tall defender, a bit more agile than most tall defenders going around. Him and Ridley can sort of share the smaller forwards. Then in the centre, I've actually gone really strict this year on the wingers and the forwards. I've done some centre bounce attendance research and made sure they attend less than 50% to be in these positions. So one of my wingers is Jack Lukosius. I think he was in my mid-year All-Australian side. Had to confirm with Rowie that he actually is a winger, but Rowie gave me the green light, so happy to stick him in there. The other wing, I've got Hugh McCluggage for me. I mentioned it a few months ago, but if there's a player I would like to have the ball 60 out, forwards leading all over the place, it'd be him, because I can assure you he'll hit one of the forwards on the chest. Then I've got Liver in the middle of the centre. I know that's a very rogue pick, but he was dominating the first half of the year. And then, as me and Pilch were talking about before we came on air, teams sort of started realising that he was so pivotal to the Dogs' success, and he's started getting a lot more attention, and has subsequently seen his and the team's form dwindle. Then in the ruck, I've snubbed Maxi Gawn. I've gone Nick Naitanui. He's just beaten out Sean Darcy for me. So the ruckman from the West are tearing it up at the moment. Then my Rovers, I've got the Bont and Parrish, my two Brownlow candidates. Then in the forward line, this one's rogue, but he actually missed less games than I thought, but still doesn't deserve it. Didn't really play that well when he played, but I actually have Dusty in my half-forward flank. I think he picked up 14 votes, so he must have done all right. Centre half forward, look, I don't really want to pay any attention to this bloke after what he did the other week. Genuine piece of shit, but can't deny his first 6 to 8 weeks of the season was arguably the most dominant 6 to 8 week period we saw all season, and that is Taylor Walker. Absolutely tore it up for the Crows. Then my other half forward flanker, he's not really a pure forward. He sort of, it depends week on week. He plays wing, he plays half-back flank. He does also play half-forward flank. He's kicked 4 and 3 goals
also
in different games. Yeah, it is Jordan Dawson. Absolutely love the man. Got a few. I reckon he'll get a few votes in the Brownlow this year. There were a couple games that he actually tore up. And then the full forward line got, in my opinion, a top 5 player in the competition, Toby Green. Talked about how much I love him in the past, but he's got to be there. Then my full forwards, the Tomahawk, one of the most consistent tall forwards in the comp nowadays. And then the other forward pocket was going to go 2 tall forwards. Just went, nah, most teams have 3. So the big Charlie Dixon's also got into my team.
Oh, yes.
He's my lowest vote getter in the whole side by a significant margin. But my algorithm hates a tall forward. So I had to dig deep for that one. But he snuck in with 8 votes. He's about 10th in the Port BNF currently for me. But that's saying something. Then the interchange, I've got Jack Steele, Clayton Oliver, Christian Petrarca, who can, spend some time forward for me as well. And then I thought I'd pick a defensive-minded player. So I picked Jack Zeeble, even though I don't know if he actually can defend. Honourable mentions, got to go to Dane Zorko. I think he's someone who's been pretty overlooked this year. I think a lot of the Brisbane players don't get as much attention as maybe they should. But moving in the last 2 years, he sort of transitioned from a guy who would do stints in the guts but play forward to a genuine midfielder. And I think he had his best year this year, I reckon. Then Took, obviously, killed it this year, just missed out for me. Sean Darcy just missed out. Rowies man, Aaron Hall. Shout out to Broadbent for thinking he's a shit kick. Disgraceful opinion, Broady.
Best kick.
I love him as well, but he just missed out for me. And then, Jake Lever, as I mentioned, between May and Lever, it was a coin flip. You could say, why aren't they both in there? But the algorithm needs Luke Ryan to be in my All-Australian side. So, I've got to just listen to the algorithm. But that's my team. Some weird selections in there. I actually have no idea how many of them made the squad. I'd be impressed if it's over 50%, but that is my All-Australian. That is it. Quite a few consensus picks. There weren't too many, though, that we all picked the obvious candidates. I think Stuart got in all our teams, then the Bond. I think Petrarca, Oliver, and Steele all made our teams. I think the ruck's going to be really interesting. I agree with you guys that it's going to be Gorney, but I'm not necessarily sure if he deserves it. So definitely excited for Thursday. Going to be interesting to see how our teams stack up against the experts. Well, they say they're experts, but as Rowie said, they do give Marley Williams votes on the Brownlow, so not sure how well they know the game.
It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.